Okay, happy Wednesday. As you can see, I am back at home and back from the island. Ugh, I miss it already. I'm still getting used to the time change. It's 2 hour difference. I'm back on PST and we got in really early this morning, and so I kind of just crashed out. So I'm late making my video for today. I'm still trying to commit to sticking with it though. So even though it's late tonight, we're gonna do it. And it's interesting because as it's late tonight, I've been doing some things I kind of laid around for a good while. I allowed myself that. And, just time to rest and recuperate from the trip, rest from the long flight. And even though, I was in a decent sized seat and everything, you still feel kind of, knotted up and everything. So did all of that. But I did find myself falling back into immediate work mode. I got text messages, emails, phone calls, all the things, even though they know I'm still not back to work until tomorrow. And even though I had told some people I was on vacation, still received a lot of things, and some of them I did feel motivated to respond to. And some of them I just put them off until tomorrow because it'll be there when I get there. But it was interesting to think about the fact that, as soon as I got back here, is like falling back into the pattern, which lets me know a couple of things. One, I need to travel some more and, break up that pattern. And two, I just need to be more mindful of it on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's interesting. While I was doing things, I'm trying to kind of consume as much positive media and motivational things that I can while I'm going about my day and doing what I do. So my average routine involves, on a weekday, waking up, kind of taking a moment for gratitude, stretching a little bit, and, probably hitting the snooze a couple of times before I start that stretch. But once I get going, kind of just seeing how my body feels, and then probably running around fast in the morning to get to work on time. And then the day just takes off from there nonstop. But one of the videos that I was listening to, I want to say the gentleman's name is Myron Golden or something like that. His name is Myron for sure. He mentioned, and it was interesting because you could see it was his words, but he did the video content with an AI version of him. So the way his face was moving, it was easier for me to just listen. But what he was saying, the content was good, and it was about how you start your day. And so it made me think about that some, because I was doing a lot of things that he said. It's like, you on the surface think, yeah, you're starting off your day with gratitude. Maybe you're even starting off your day with some prayer or with the word in some kind of way, and you may feel like that's good, and it is, but are you being intentional enough about how you're setting the intention for the day or how you're interacting? And not everybody has to be Christian. That's just my choice, and I'm riding with it. But even if you're not, you could still set your intention for your day, and spend some time on it. It's like how some people say you've got to get up really early in the morning to be productive. I don't know about that. Some of us are evening shift or, more night people than morning people. But there is something to be said for being the early bird and getting the worm, I guess. And then there's those that talk about just being more consistent. And I think I'm definitely working on that. Like, I'm being consistent with making these videos. But just like, what is your routine that sets your day right? And it should be more than just a couple of minutes of something that, like, his whole thing was about people who are highly productive, highly successful, and even, wealthy, right? That the wealthy, or the difference between, I think his videos, the difference between people who are winners and who are losers. And the difference was how you start off your day, in his opinion. And so being intentional about like not doom scrolling. So, but also things like when you wake up and the first thing that you do is reach for your cell phone, and you start looking at the messages and going, ugh, and getting yourself all anxious, or start responding to things right away, or you look at the news and it's something negative that's happened overnight with the administration or whatever throughout the world, right? And so just how it starts to amp you up or make you more anxious or stressed, and it's like then that means that you've already lost for that day, because your day has started off on that trajectory instead of giving yourself a quiet moment to think, to really plan, breathe, ease into it, instead of getting up and being all frantic, which allows for you to be more strategic and then that way more effective, right? So he didn't put it that way exactly, but that was kind of the gist. And it makes sense because I thought about it for myself, and I was like, wow, I do that. My phone goes off all the time. So, because I work in surgery, we have a group chat that includes like surgeons and anesthesia and, myself and other leadership people, like the charge nurse, the OR secretary, etc. You get the idea. Materials, all the people, sterile processing, we're all on it. And so, whenever time a case gets booked, like an add-on or something happens, there's text to go out about that. So you can imagine if there's multiple add-ons through the day, there's a zillion text messages back and forth to kind of confirm things or share information. And sometimes you're just like, I don't want to hear the 25th millionth text message about this, especially if, it's not during your work window and somebody else can handle it. But at the same time, you may also feel like, this is applicable to whatever job you do. You may feel like you're obligated to know what's happening at that moment, or maybe respond to something at that moment. And then it's distraction, right? It distracts you from whatever project you were actually working on at that moment, even if the project was rest, even if the project was sleep, even if the project was taking moments to be creative and to find your inspiration. It kind of breaks up that process, and then it's hard to get back to it. And so, you'll hear pastors say things like, if the devil can't, derail you this way or that way, he'll derail you with distraction, right? And same, again, if you believe it or don't believe it, if you stay distracted, it is hard to be productive, period, right? If you stay distracted, you may have the best idea in the world for the next biggest thing that you're trying to do or build, your business, etc. And it becomes hard to make real progress if all of these things sidetrack you. And if you start your day so super anxious already about the long list of things that you want to accomplish for that day, it could have you feeling defeated already, and it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy that you just had too much. So, like, how can we do this differently? And for me, I feel like I really do need to spend some more time being more intentional about setting that saying, whether you got a theme song, like, shout out to your Ally McBeal fans from back in the day. My theme song sometimes is Living My Life Like It's Golden. Shout out to Jill Scott. But you know what I mean? Like, do you amp yourself up in a positive way? Like, let's go, with whatever, sounds like school spirit song or whatever it is that you love? Or is it with prayer? Is it with meditation? Is it with stretching? Is it with a big fat cup of tea, which I am a big fat fan of? But like, do you get to savor it, or are you throwing it in your commuter mug and running out the door? And if you're the second, if you're the latter, then how can we change that? Like, do you need to bring your pretty teacup and saucer to work and sip it while you're working? Do you need to wake up 10 to 15 minutes earlier to do that reflection, to do that meditation, to do that mindfulness, to do that prayer, to, write down those ideas that you dreamt about? Because a lot of really good information comes in your dreams, right? Sometimes you need to take that moment, grab that notepad that you should have by your side table, and write down what God gave you in your dream. Laughing because I looked at the camera and I can see the time as I'm talking to you. And as I was talking about writing down the good things that come to you in your dreams, I looked and it was 11:11. Anyway, so you just have to figure out what works best for you, right? And I feel like for me, I'm going to have to continue to make the changes that I've been making slowly but surely and trying to be consistent. And I'm going to have to consistently get up maybe an extra 10 or 15 minutes earlier, although I hate to say it because I already get up so early. They usually have to be at work at 6:45 in the morning, so my alarm goes off at 5:30. But realistically, I hit the snooze a couple times before I get up. So even if I don't get up earlier, like wake up earlier, I need to throw my butt out of bed earlier, and not start off in a rush, and not run out of the door, and not break into my latest hot flash sweat because I did it. And then see how that feels and make adjustments as I go. I had a homework assignment for my doctoral program today that I was working on. It's not due till Sunday, but I'm trying also to not wait until the last day to do everything and then run around like a maniac again. In this case, I'd be running in front of the computer going, trying to finish my assignment. And so I wrote my paper today. And while I had some time at home, trying to be productive, still working on the balance. But I figured, this wasn't the thing that was out of balance because it's due whether I do it today, tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. And if I get it done, then maybe I have some more Saturday and Sunday to chill. So here we go. And the assignment was about nutrition. We're talking about functional nutrition at this moment in this particular course, how it affects you personally, your thoughts about nutrition and your health, and also as a leader, because all of the people in my program are leaders in one area of healthcare or another. Some are doctors, some are nurse leaders, some are nutritionists, some are social workers, some are a variety of things, and but all leaders in their field. And so, how does thinking about that, how you handle nutrition and things in your life and for your own health, does it relate at all to how you lead or don't lead professionally? And so I had some time to think about that, obviously, while I was writing this paper. And, I again thought about how I want to lead with integrity, with humility, with by example, and transparency and all of those things. And so, you don't have to overshare every moment of your life or overshare, whatever health challenges or objectives you may have with everybody, or to, you don't have to vomit all the words, but sharing your humanity and your process on how you think about things can be helpful. And it can be helpful for people to understand you better, and also to give them ways to think about how they can address their own issues at work or personally too, if it's helpful. And so I thought about, what's my family history with certain medical issues? What am I already doing to mitigate any of those issues taking over my life? What could I be doing better or differently? How does my family genetics and my job stress, my life stress, my family stress, and all those things elevate my cortisol levels? How does that translate to additional risk factors with blood pressure, with diabetes, with all of those things that sometimes people in my age range and or specifically Black people may deal with, hypertension, all of those things. And what could I be doing even more of that would keep me out of trouble with those things, with high cholesterol, all of that. And so I eat organic a lot of the time. I try to eat pretty clean, sometimes intentionally and sometimes just because of how my day's going. I end up intermittent fasting, and but there's still room to do more research about what foods I should be eating more of, and in what combinations. More research into food as medicine, which I'm continuing to do, and I'll share as I go. Of course, rules of thumb, if it's fish, wild caught. If it's fruits and vegetables, the darker the berries, the darker the fruit, the greener, the redder, the orange, the more orange, all of the things, more nutrition. But then you also learn the things that we already know about being here in the U.S. A lot of our ground soil is contaminated with so much, pesticides. Sometimes it's in our public water as well, along with all of the narcotics and other drugs that they test that show up in our public water and things like that. Then you've got to fight with, okay, am I going to drink bottled water? But I don't want it in the plastic bottles, because then am I going to drink microplastics? I'm like, you can drive yourself crazy with all these things, right? And trying to get it right. And in reality, at this moment in time, to do the best you could for yourself, you'd probably have to order your flour from another country. I try to order buy the non-bromated, organic, blah, blah. Okay, you didn't put any fake color. You didn't put any fake preservatives. You didn't spray the wheat with the Roundup or the whatever the thing is that this farmer or that farmer might use. You never know. And, there's all this information about the same fruits and vegetables that we're eating now are not as healthy as they were however many years ago, because just the nutrients aren't there like they were in this country. And so you could throw your hands up and be frustrated. You could obsess about every little detail, and which could be also stress-inducing. Or you can just do the best you can with what you've got, and incrementally try to do better. But I was for school too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. One of the videos, it's a combination. Sometimes there's reading, there's videos, there's various mixed media. But statistics was like something over 50-something% of US people are obese. More than 50% of our food on a daily basis is ultra processed food. And like something about like 70% or more of people in the US have one or more chronic diseases. And those are just crazy, crazy numbers. Like, no wonder we're feeling poisoned. We are. And like, no wonder we're having such an epidemic of cancer right now, including with our young people. How do you eat food that's not really food, that has no significant nutritional value, and be more sedentary 'cause you're tied to your job, your computer, your phone while you're doom scrolling, whatever it is. And so it's not like, where the kids ran around at recess, ran around at lunch, ran around all day after school until they had to come in because lights went off came on the neighborhood, whatever. That's not happening anymore, right? You have to peel your kid away from the phone. I find it even with my adult children. We may go out to dinner and I look up and everybody's like this. We're not even talking. And so we're working through that too. But, it's just life looks so different now than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, definitely 50 or 60 years ago. Some things are good and better and some things are not so good. But I think we just have to be so much more intentional about what we put in our bodies, what we put in our minds, what we subject ourselves to. If you turn on the news, is it always bad news? Is that what you want to see all the time? Yes, we need to stay informed, but also that crap is depressing. Like, somebody is always killing somebody, doing something, backstabbing, rolling back somebody's civil rights, running somebody. It's a lot. So how do you balance being socially aware, fiscally aware of your health and wellness in this place, in this time where there's so much overstimulation? And it goes back to setting your intentions for your day, right? How do you start your day? Do you start it with a negative Nancy news? Or do you have, a positive affirmation? Do you have some mechanism that you put in place that starts your day in a positive way, something that feels good to you? And then you take all the things that you have to take in doses. And then when your work day is done, how do you unwind in a way that's healthy? Are you doing your exercises? Even if you're doing them from the chair. I was talking to my son about that. I'm like, you can watch your shows. He loves to watch pro basketball and some of the shows like Masked Singer and different things like that. And they're fun. I like all of that too. I was like, but you could still do your sit-ups or your crunches or your whatever while you're watching the game. It's like, it doesn't have to be all one or the other. But how do you figure out the combination of what makes your day work for you? And then how do you end it? Because a lot of times if you end it also watching something negative, listening to something negative, ruminating over something negative, or ruminating over the work you've got waiting for you tomorrow, then you can't sleep. Or you sleep and you have bad dreams. I think if you work on the sleep hygiene, like, I don't have a television in my bedroom, and that's intentional. So I don't sit there and watch TV too long in the bed instead of going to sleep, right? You may want some of the types of plants, and I can give you a list at some point, that clean the air in your home. And you also add beauty, right? Add some plants, some greenery. And you may want like a diffuser for some aromatherapy to relax you. You may want some soothing music. And I know soothing is relative, but for me, it could be jazz, it could be neo soul, it could be something R&B, it could be a little bit of other things too, but it's probably not gonna be heavy metal. It's probably not gonna be, headbanging rock, although I like some rock. But like, what helps you to wind down? And maybe you journal and you get those thoughts out about what was swirling in there so you can let it go. But I'm thinking about what my routine is going to change to make sure that I'm not absent-mindedly falling into that category of I'm doing too much from the moment I wake up to the moment I fall asleep, and taking in too much of other people's negativity, and internalizing that for my own health, for my own safety, for my own sanity, and because, I want the space to let in the good. So I'm going to work on that. Maybe you want to work on some of those things too, if any of that resonates with you. And going forward, we can work on it together. I am going to go to bed, try to go to sleep, have some pleasant dreams, and I'll see you tomorrow. So hopefully we'll both add some beauty, add some rest, add some calm. I wish that for you. Add some love, add some peace, add some hugs. Even if you don't need it, hug somebody else because they need it. And we'll start again tomorrow. See you later.